today here on the Raiders Report, I believe the Las Vegas Raiders head coaching job is a great job. And quite frankly, I've been seeing all around the NFL, I've been seeing all around social media that apparently this Las Vegas Raiders job sucks. And I'm kind of sick and tired of seeing it. So today I want to sit up here and I want to go, truth be told, when you look at all the head coaching job openings, I believe the Raiders' job is one of the best out there. So make sure you're staying up to date on all things going on around the Raiders offseason. Coaching rumors, free agencies coming up, a lot of draft stuff. If you're looking for videos every single day, and if you want to stay up to date on what's happening around the Raiders' head coaching job, make sure you're subscribed. Because I do have an important message out there. Outside of the Baltimore Ravens job, I believe the Raiders head coaching opening is the best one available. And I saw an article from NFL.com. I was actually going to do this video when I was live on Tuesday, but we had to mix it up a little bit after the breaking news that the Ravens ended up firing John Harbaugh. But I saw this article from NFL.com, and I literally laughed out loud because I know that there's a lot of people out there that believe the NFL's got this thing against the Raiders. But whoever wrote this article, I'm not going to out her, but putting the Raiders last to me, it's idiotic. And I understand maybe you didn't follow the Raiders this season. Maybe you don't follow the NFL, though I would make the argument if you're not following the NFL, you shouldn't be writing articles for NFL.com. But to put the Raiders' job dead last, I think is absolutely, positively laughable. So today, I wanted to make a video out there to show not only the world, to show Raiders fans, to show potential head coaches, potential OCs, whoever the hell needs to see it, that this is actually, I think, one of the best head coaching jobs out there. And let's first go to the number one reason. You got the number one overall pick. When you have the number one overall pick, anything is possible. And I understand that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are like, well, this team keeps hiring and firing people. You're right. We have hired and fired more people probably since 2000. I think it's like 14 head coaches at this point. But when you have the number one overall pick, that head coach can make a decision. Do I want to go draft my franchise quarterback? Maybe it's Fernando Mendoza. Maybe it's Dante Moore. Or if your team rebuild, you can trade back. You can get some extra draft capital. So the world is really your oyster. The other thing, though, when you have the number one pick, and if you go out there and you get that franchise quarterback, it's job security. Like, I get Pete Carroll was one and done. Antonio Pierce, one and done. Josh McDaniels got a year and a half. But did you see how bad McDaniels was? Did you see how bad Antonio Pierce was? Did you see how bad Papa Pete was? They were all just horrific coaches at their job. That's why they got fired. It wasn't just the Raiders. I want to tip my cap a little bit to somebody along the lines of Mark Davis, who's not settling for a shit job. If we're going to sit up here and go commitment to excellence, let's go and try to find somebody that actually resembles commitment to excellence. And with the number one overall pick, you at least have a decision that you can make. So let's make that decision right now here on the Raiders Report. What would you do? To me, the top two things that the Raiders can do, you can either draft Fernando Mendoza, type FM down below for Fernando Mendoza, or if your team trade down, I want you to type TD. My answer is going to be coming up here after this YouTube ad break. I don't know how many of y'all are all that surprised by my answer, but I am team draft Mendoza unless the New York Jets offer you something that you can't refuse. I will admit this, too. The trade that you're about to see is also if Dante Moore comes out. If Dante Moore comes out, I've said it multiple times, that I am okay with the idea of trading back to number two and then taking either Fernando Mendoza or Dante Moore. Though it's been pretty well reported that Moore's not a big fan of the New York Jets, and that could be one of the reasons why he doesn't end up coming out. But if you're a Jets fan and you're like, all right, Mitch, how much does the number one overall pick cost me? Because we got all these picks. To me, this is what I would want to get this conversation started. The Jets and the Raiders. This year you swap 1 and 2. So we get number 2, they get number 1. I'm also going to throw in 2 fourth-round picks. The Raiders have another fourth-round pick this season. But in addition, I want your second round pick, number 33 overall. That's a very important pick in that second round. First pick in the second round. And then I want all three of your first round picks next year. I want your Jets pick, which maybe with a rookie quarterback could be number one again. I want the Indianapolis Colts pick. They're going to be looking for a quarterback this offseason. And then I want your Cowboys first round pick. Because if you're the silver and black and you decide to trade back and this is what you got, if Dante Moore don't come out, you better be able to go up and get your guy CJ Carr next year. And this does help you do that. This would give the Raiders 4 first-round picks in 2027. If the Jets are willing to do this, I'm willing to listen for that number 1 overall pick. Let's go to the next reason here. Why this Raiders job is a damn good job. And if you don't think it, well, then I just believe you got your Raiders hater goggles on. Because when you're sitting up here with 10 picks in total, and you got 6 picks in the top 4 rounds, that is a really good start, I believe, for an organization that, let's face it, you got a lot of holes that you need to be able to fill. But when you have draft picks, you can help find ways to go out and get some of those players. Now, if it was up to me, I would actually probably package maybe those 2 6, try to go up and get a 5th, maybe package 3 of those 4s, maybe go up and try to go get a 3rd, maybe get up even a little bit higher. But if you're the Raiders and you need a lot of starters, why wouldn't you as a coach want the opportunity to build through the draft? Good organizations build through the draft. They find other talent in free agency, which is where we're about to go after this conversation, because nobody, and I mean nobody, has the free agency firepower that the Las Vegas Raiders do, and I'm going to tell you that here in just a moment. Before I get into it, though, we're sitting here talking about the draft. I can't wait for tomorrow's game, and this one is going to be a absolutely electric one. I'm not going to lie. I'm recording this video on a Thursday, so tomorrow's game is today's game for all of y'all that are watching this. We got a little Indiana, got a little Oregon action, and if you want to roll with my lineup, you're going to be able to do it because this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. And whether it's a high-pressure playoff matchup, elites hoop action, little college action, Prize Picks lets you take control. And if you want to give me a follow on Prize Picks, you can do it. I'm at MitchellRens365. Here is my lineup that I'm rolling with. I'm going with the more on Dante Moore. Give me the more on Fernando Mendoza pass yards, the less on interceptions, and rushing yards for the Indiana quarterback. This is a $5 lineup to pay $37.50. It's a 4-pick power play, but I love the power play in certain situations, especially when I'm going to be sitting here on a work day and I'm going to be watching these 2 quarterbacks really go after each other. Prize Picks is available in all 50 states. Join millions of users. Sign up for America's #1 fantasy sports app out there by downloading the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the next reason here why this Raiders head coaching job is a phenomenal job. Not only you got the number 1 overall pick, not only do you have 6 picks in the top 4 rounds, 10 overall. Watch this right here. Oh, I thought you were going to do it. The money, y'all. Salary cap space, and there is a lot to be able to work with. If you're the Raiders and you don't rebuild this team and at least get it going in the right direction, it's because you didn't hire the right people in order to do it. The Raiders have $100.8 million per over the cap, 3rd most in the NFL. According to Spotrac, they got $110.2 million, which is 2nd most in the NFL. So depending on who you look at the most, it really depends on like certain contracts, how Spotrac and over the cap does it. But I'll look at it like this: top 3 money no matter what. Also, the Raiders are the only team that are top 3 in cap space in 2026 and in 2027. They've been pushing some dead money down the road because of all the bad signings, guys like McDaniels, Gruden, AP probably. They all went in and they went out and they paid a lot of money to guys that aren't on this team anymore. But expect the Raiders to be aggressive this offseason. Do you know why? Because John Spytek and Tom Brady were sick and tired of all the narratives going on last season that they're bad in the front office. This is going to be a team, and this is going to be an organization that will be aggressive and they're going to spend some money because they want to win and they're tired. Mark is so sick and tired of being the laughing stock of the NFL. He's tired of it. I'm telling you right now. I know I said last year, buckle up. You might want to buckle it up twice. Strap it on. Giggity. It's going to be a hell of an offseason. Let's go to the next reason. Some of y'all might laugh at what I'm about to say here, but look at the current roster. And when I say look at the current roster, I understand that there are 25 pending free agents. Those free agents, though, really aren't even starters on this team. And I don't think that they'd be starters on a lot of other teams. Quite frankly, I think a lot of the free agents that are out there are guys that I'm kind of happy to move on from. But I look at pillar players, right? I look at pillar players, and I look at a guy like Brock Bowers. I look at a guy like Ashton Genty, a Max Crosby. You got your left tackle and Colt Miller, very important for probably that number 1 overall pick. JPJ should play center or somewhere on that interior. Yes, there are a lot of holes, but you got the draft picks, you got salary cap. You can't deny that they do have some really, truly great star power, and some of those guys, Genty and Bowers, JPJ, are on a younger contract. The Raiders actually have one of the younger rosters in the NFL when you really look at it from top to bottom, because they are a team that, again, one of the younger rosters. I'll tell you some of those players who are on that roster in just a moment. Before I get into that, though, special shout out to everybody that showed up for our 11-hour and 35-minute show for Pete Carroll getting fired. It was incredible. Chugs and I are very excited to be able to go out to the Bay Area during the Super Bowl. I believe the day that we are going to end up hosting our party is going to be Friday, and I'm thinking we're probably going to be in the San Jose area. So make sure you guys are ready to rock. I actually talked to LA Crash Dog about it. Gunny, what's going on, my man? But Raider Ron and Lord Cameron Abbott, from the bottom of my heart, this trip would not have been possible if it would not have been for you two. So if anybody's watching the show right now and you want to say thanks to Raider Ron LCA, please make sure you do so. But it's everybody from Ventrac, LA Crash, everybody from Mount Raidermore, all the real ones that showed up. Greatly, greatly appreciate it. And if you didn't see it, go check it out. It's one of the craziest live shows that I have ever done. So let's look at this Raiders roster, though. You got the 22nd youngest roster right now, an average age of 26.5. It's about to get much younger because there's a lot of old people that Pete Carroll liked to bring in, those vets that were getting snaps over some of the younger players that should have been getting snaps. So you're telling me you're going to be aggressive again. You're going to have a young overall team. You're already the 22nd youngest. There was a lot of young contracts to be able to build with. And then the final reason is this: John Spytek and Tom Brady. Tom Brady and John Spytek are two very well-respected minds. Brady's going to get people in the building because he's Tom Brady. It's why you're going to see a guy like Ben Johnson even take the interview like he did last season. If it wasn't for Brady, would have never done it. But there are so many people that want to pick the brain of Tom Brady. There's also a lot of people that obviously respect what John Spytek thinks. If you look at this Raiders front office, I said it last year and I believed it, that I actually thought it was filled with some great, great front office members. People that were right-hand man to Howie Roseman. Y'all know how much I love Eagles GM Howie Roseman. Then you got people coming from Omar Khan in the Pittsburgh side. You got people coming from the Denver Broncos that have done a lot of winning. This is a really good front office. Brian Stark, Anthony Patch, Brandon Hunt, John Spytek, Tom Brady. There's just a lot of good people that have done a lot of winning in this front office. And if you are a head coach and you believe in your ability to build a team, you believe in your ability to go out and get your quarterback, spend money in free agency, and can build in the draft, to me, the only coaches that don't want the Raiders' job are coaches that don't believe in themselves or are afraid to coach for the Las Vegas Raiders because of all the other firings. Here's the thing, though. You go out and you get your quarterback number one, that kind of locks you into 2 to 3 years as far as I'm concerned. Before I get out of here, though, I am going to be live later on today. Oregon, Indiana. I believe every Raider fan out there should want Indiana to win this game. And the reason why that I say that is if Dante Moore loses, there's a chance he goes back to Oregon. And I think if he goes back to Oregon, Oregon better pay him $10 million because he basically make like $9.6 if he'd be drafted number 2 overall, which maybe it's a possibility. Phil Knight's got a lot of money. But the reason why everybody should want Indiana to win, if you're the Raiders and you got the number 1 pick, there's not another quarterback really that I think deserves to be drafted in round 1. It raised the price tag for that number 1 overall pick. And the better and better Mendoza plays, I think it makes it easier for us as an organization to either take him or trade that number 1 pick and get a crap ton of draft picks from the New York Jets and only have to move down 1 spot.